Hey, second grade pirates, it's Mrs. Hilliard again, and we are traveling to another region today. I've ran into a little bit of problem with my car. Look at it. It's up a tree. Do you know why it's up a tree? Well, the region we're going to today has lots of mountains. Now remember, the one we went to last time was called the Blue Ridge Mountains, but this one doesn't have the word mountains in it. This one has something that mountains form. And one of the things we are going to look at today, I'll slide that back where you can see it, is the Ridge and Valley region. Did you remember from first grade that valleys are in between mountains? So you gotta have mountains to have the valley. So today our region is called Ridge and Valley. And if you look at these landforms that I made, they're not very pretty. You can see the ridges are what's coming down and a little bit on the top, and they form like a chain of mountains. And then this part in the middle is known as the valley. What a great name. It looks like the letter V. So it looks like a valley. And that's what happened to my car. I was coming way too fast down that mountain road into the valley, and I ran my car up a tree. I'll have to work on that. But while I'm here, let's discuss ridge and valley. Here we go. Let's look at our regions that we've talked about so far. Remember, the first one we talked about was this big one down here in the bottom. Do you remember what that one was called? I'll give you a hint. It touches the coast. Coastal plain. This was the region that's really flat, and we call it the coastal plain. It's our largest region here in Georgia. Our second region we talked about was right here in this big middle section, and it had Atlanta in it. Remember, Atlanta is the capital of Georgia. And do you remember what that region was called? The Piedmont. And remember, the Piedmont is the most popular region because most people live there in our state. And the main reason that is because it's near our capital city, Atlanta. Now, our last time we met, I told you all about the Blue Ridge Mountains. And the Blue Ridge Mountains were the ones up here in the corner that touch North Carolina and South Carolina. Those Blue Ridge Mountains are gorgeous, especially this time of year when the weather starts to get cooler. It would be worth a drive up there if you've never been there. And today our region is called the Ridge and Valley. Sometimes you might see it written as Valley and Ridge, but it's the same thing. And it's right here in the middle of the last three regions. So Blue Ridge is the one over here that touches North Carolina and South Carolina. Ridge and Valley is in between, which is perfect because that's what a valley is. It's in between. All right, so I'm going to scroll through my PowerPoint here and get you to the Ridge and Valley. Here we go. The Ridge and Valley, it's located in that middle section up there by the Blue Ridge, and you can find all the landforms like valleys and ridges, makes a great name for it, right? And low mountains, and it says there's no major rivers here. And that doesn't mean there's no water, it's just not a major Georgia river. So we will learn more about those rivers later. This is really hard to do upside down, especially after you just crashed your car into a tree. All right, here we go. Some cool sights in the Ridge and Valley. The first one is called Amicalola Falls. It is a beautiful, beautiful waterfall coming through a valley, and it's so pretty. If you've never been to Amicalola Falls, it would be worth a drive up there just to see these pretty falls. Also, the Chickamauga Valley, that was named after some Native Americans, And look how pretty that stream is that's running through there. That one. And look at those giant boulders. You know what those boulders make me think of? The salamander room. I think about that little boy who wanted to carry boulders into his room for his little salamander pet. Those boulders are ginormous, but that's what that reminds me of. And then the last one, there's a ton of mountains up there, but this was a pretty one called Pigeon Mountain. I wonder why they named it Pigeon Mountain. All right. Here we go. And some of the resources that we can get from the Ridge and Valley is, one of the big ones is coal. And for those of you that have played Minecraft, you know that coal can only be found inside the mountains. And they have fruits, they have grains, they have cattle. Do you know what cattle is? Moo. I'll give you a hint. It's a whole group of cows. And cattle can be used for two things. You have dairy cattle that give us milk, which we make cheese and yogurt and all those yummy things with. But then you also have beef cattle, and that is where you get your hamburger meat. Vegetables, they have timber and limestone. I bet you Minecraft kids know what limestone is. It's something you can build with, and it's another one of those things you could find in the Ridge and Valley region. So if you were a Native American and you were looking for resources, you might want to start here to get you some coal and some limestone and things like that. The only thing this region would be very hard for is planting. It's really hard to get something to grow in the side of a mountain. In the valley you could, better than you could on the side of the mountain. But if you needed timber, timber is what trees make. And so once you cut that tree down, it's a log and it becomes timber. Those would be great resources. Do you know how much timber we use just in our school alone? The desk, the cubbies, the teacher's desk, the reading tables, all of those things are made from wood. And some fun facts about this area is it's very few people live here. Probably because the resources are not very plentiful, which means there's not plenty of resources for everybody to use. And the last one is you can find ancient sea fossils here. That just tells you it's really old. Even older than some of the teachers on our team. Did you figure out who was the oldest? Well, you'll figure it out. So guys, we have one more region to learn about when we meet again. And it's the teeny tiniest region, but it's in the biggest, let me rephrase that. It's the teeniest tiny region with the biggest, longest name. So we've learned about the coastal plain. We've learned about the Piedmont, which we have to remember because that's where we live. And we've learned about Blue Ridge, and now we've learned about the Ridge and the Valley. Well, I gotta go because I gotta get my car out of that tree and get ready to head on to our final Georgia region. I'll see you later, second graders. Bye.